Happy Monday. Welcome to Make It Happen Mondays, where we take a little bit of time out of our busy lives so we can be informed, inspired, and make it happen for the rest of the week. If you do not know me, I am your host, Monique, a visionary, a growth strategist, and a faith based leadership coach that gets to magnify the magic in the lives of Black women leaders. And what that looks like is the leaders that I work with, they go from feeling overwhelmed, stuck, and unfulfilled to clear, confident, and purposed, becoming the best version of themselves. So, if you want to learn more about me, more about the tools and the programs that we've developed for Black women leaders, I want you to go check us out at www.moniqueinc.co. Again, www.moniqueinc.co. So, if you're new to Make It Happen Mondays, one, if this is your first time, or if I just need to give you a reminder, Make It Happen Monday, I created specifically for us at 12 p.m. because I want you to start taking a lunch. But it is our virtual space. It's our virtual space for us to talk out our stuff, for us to have no filters, to take off the mask, right? We get to share our stories so we know that we are not alone. And in this space, we elevate Black women, everyday Black women that are making it happen in their lives. So, most importantly, I hope that this moment, this time, this little bit of time in your life and your week helps you to refuel, that helps you to get stronger and to help you grow. And so I want you to stay connected. If you're not already following me on Instagram, it's Monique Inc., or on LinkedIn at Monique Williams. Also, make sure that you subscribe here, click the notification button so you'll always know when we go live, and engage, say hello, comment, ask questions, and share it with your girls who also want to elevate in their lives or just live the one life they have to their fullest. So if you guys have been watching this month, we have been focusing on mental health. So many of us are operating over capacity. We are struggling, to be quite honest, and we are dealing with a lot of things that are affecting our mental and emotional well being. We have carried so much trauma as Black women, and I personally want to see us be whole and well. And so this month we are focused on that. I have the best experts, Black women leaders who are doing great things in their fields that's teaching us. So it's relatable to us, it resonates with us, and we can really do something different in our lives by what we are learning from them. So today is no different. I have the pleasure of introducing and bringing on Dr. Natalie Whitlow. And I will tell you, 2 years in a row, I was at a conference where she presented and she blew my mind. So I had to nudge her and pull her and say, come on, can you come on, make it happen Monday? So y'all, they give us these nuggets. They charge lots of coins for these nuggets and they come on and they share so generously. So we definitely have to show them love. So I am going to read you her bio. Our topic today is inherited trauma. It's not your fault. And so she has done some incredible things. So I'm going to take my time and read her bio. So because I want you to hear all of the amazing things that she's been doing. And so Dr. Natalie M. Whitlow is a dynamic psychologist licensed in the state of Ohio who provides life-changing and community impacting services through her private practice, Our Village, a service organization, LLC. Her mission is to help people think about mental health differently, progressively, in order to minimize mental health stigma, intimidation, and fear, and to help people understand the function that mental health plays in their very own lives and how to attain and maintain optimal mental health. At the core of her work is community engagement and creating a positive and vital intersection between diversity, community, mental health, healthcare, and spiritual well-being. Dr. Whitlow often partners with influential organizations and Fortune 500 corporations around the nation to create and facilitate mental health workshops and training. And get this, she is the developer of the Whitlow measure of Afrocentric relationship attitudes scale, which is the first Afrocentrically based relationship attitude scales to be developed by a Black professional normed on a Black population and designed to be specifically used in the assessment and treatment of the Black couple. So, if that is not enough, she is a member of the American Psychological Association and the Ohio Psychologists Association, and is an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She's a proud wife, mother, and daughter. So we are going to play the Make It Happen song, and then we are going to welcome her in as we listen to that song. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Where do I want to start? Here we go.
Too busy letting my voice vibrate, carving out my space in this world of fly girls, cutthroats and diamond cut ropes. I twirls, business round corners where the sun don't shine. I let the wheels give a glimpse of hope for one's grind. Sunset hope, how you get so fly. I said from not being afraid to fall out the sky. I'm physically a shell, so when I say
that's your part right there.
It's my part right there.
Welcome to Make It Happen Monday.
Thank you so much, Monique. Thank you so much for having me. Now, you asked me my Make It Happen song.
Yes.
And I am a 90s baby. I'm Generation X all day to my core. So I'm going through the Rolodex. Look, baby, the Rolodex, right?
Right.
Through, and that song and that piece right there. Some say, "Ho, how you get so fly from not being afraid to fall out the sky." And it just embodies the importance of taking risks and believing in yourself. And as I was listening to the introduction you were given, that's what you are doing for all of your viewers, is helping them to look at their stuff, helping to just energize them with life so that whatever it is that serve as ceilings for them can so that they can go there. So I am
so they can get so fly. They can get Listen, now I think I'm generation. I am always confused because I feel like I'm on the cusp. I don't know what's going on, but I have never heard that song.
Really?
No, yes. Man, my horizons.
Anything Jay-Z, come see me, and I got
it. Okay. I'm still stuck on Tupac.
Absolutely.
You know, I've never made it to home. I was still on Tupac. I felt a little certain type of way, you know, all the things.
Listen, still today, the way his interviews are still so relevant and pertinent to what we're dealing with right now. That mind right there, that man and that mind at 24.
Right. That part.
Yes.
When we look back, it was like, dang, he was only that age.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. My heart is so full because I know how the people are about to be blessed.
Yes.
Oh, so I have mentioned, we're not going to get into it, but when you get into the work, I'm going to pause because I'm going to get ahead of myself. Let's start here because I was about to give a little insight on what we're going to talk about, but let's start here.
Yes.
Something fun and quirky about yourself that people do not know or be surprised to learn.
Okay. So today is coming off of from Friday the 13th, right?
Right. It is when we yeah.
So, Friday the 13th is like your horror day.
Yes.
I am probably your biggest, corniest, B-rated horror movie fan.
Love horror movies.
And I mean, my husband be like, okay, not that it's even horror, but do they have to be B-rated? I'm talking about the ones that you look at and you toot your lips up at. Like, I can't even believe that. How's the blood just squirting out?
What's an example of the B-rated? I didn't even know they was B-rated. What's an example?
So you probably wouldn't even know, but there is like Sleepaway Camp is a series of B-rated horror movies where there's a crazed woman who is going to sleepaway camps, just killing people. And I'm talking about she'll just grab your leg and pull your leg off and beat you with it. Like ridiculous. I love it. I'm up under my cover looking eyes. I just love it.
You gotta be kidding me. So not the Freddy's, not the
No. I love Freddy. Freddy is my absolute favorite.
Growing up, he was the
yes. And I've had people ask me why Freddy. And you know, I think because as a psychologist, I study the personality of people. I think I like the fact that Freddy shows his personality. Jason don't say nothing. Michael Myers
don't say
he
nothing.
don't raise a pinhead. He don't say nothing. But Freddie, he will joke with you. He got the best one-liners. He'll turn and call you a bitch in a minute. I'm loving it. I love it.
You gonna make me watch. I'm too scared in my older age to watch horror movies though.
Yes.
Like I cannot deal with them nightmares. Like I got enough going on in there. I need no help. No help at all. That's hilarious. And that little Annabelle, that little baby. That little baby.
Listen here, I have a daughter. Her name is Anessa. But when she gets to acting a little crazy, when she was younger, I would call her Annabelle. That was her ego before the movie came out.
Oh, wow.
The movie came out. I said, oh, Lord.
Put it in the atmosphere. That little baby. So, oh my God.
Yeah. You don't want no dolls for gifts, huh?
Right. No. First of all, the dolls look scary just in general. I'm like, who wants that? Period.
Right.
I wasn't a doll girl. I love strawberry shortcake.
Yes.
But I wasn't a Barbie doll girl. I never was. So that's hilarious. Okay. So listen, now we're gonna come off of that silliness to talk about a real topic. So we're about to get into it. But what I love is, and what I was saying last week, like, how do we get to the place where we're not so bogged down with this healing work? Like I keep saying, I consider myself to be actively healing, right? It doesn't look like I'm in a corner, sucking my thumb and not living life. But as I become aware, then I address and I keep evolving to allow the layers to be tapped into or to be peeled off. And so you make it so plain and so relatable. And so there's three things that you have taught us about. So when I say this is not your fault, I think about what we're carrying. Absolutely. That we just keep battling with. Absolutely. And we're trying to understand, what is it? Where did it come from? How? And you broke down 3 realities of the traumas that we carry. Yes. Cultural, generational, and personal. I'm just going to let you go.
Yes. Okay. So, you are so right, though, as you talk about what we carry and that we have experiences that happen to us that forever change us. They forever change the ways that we see and interact with the world. And that is what we will call traumas. And so I think it's important just for a minute to just talk about what traumas are, because I think so many people don't even recognize that trauma work is what they have to do, because they are so quick to say, oh, but I've never had any traumas, because we think about these huge abnormal experiences. Nobody ever put me in an oven and baked me, nobody ever, but all a trauma is a stressor that occurred to you that has a long-lasting negative impact on your life, that then colors the way that you, the world, it colors the way that you feel about that phenomenon, whatever that stressor was, and then it changes the way that you react to that phenomenon forevermore.
Right? Absolutely.
And so I'm going to give a real quick, simple example.
There.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I'm not sure that we're always cognizant of the fact that the lens has changed.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right? Our posture towards that situation has changed. And I talk a lot about, it's so much that sits in our subconscious mind that our bodies remember.
Absolutely.
And I would love, and I know you're going to go into this place, but I would love if we can talk about at some point how to get people to recognize that there is yet something to address. And it's not just who you are.
Absolutely. So you're talking about what I would call in my work, the unconscious. And when people come into therapy, that's what I talk to them about early on, that this is where we ideally want to get to, are the things that are unconsciously living inside of you. Because the things that you're consciously aware of, yes, we may need to talk about them, process them, figure out better ways of dealing with them, but you're consciously aware. So at any point, you can impact change on that.
Right.
The things that are unconscious to you, that you don't know exist, that are there inside of you wreaking havoc, that you need to gain awareness of so that you can then impact change on. And I give this example, and I think this is important for your viewers to hear. If you had a child, a younger cousin, your younger child, your grandchild, whatever, at the house with you, you're downstairs, they're upstairs, they turn on the bathtub and plug it up without you knowing that they've turned it on, right? You're not consciously aware of that. Then you call them downstairs, baby, come on, get your shoes, come get in the car, we about to go somewhere. Y'all go, y'all leave, y'all stay gone for 3 hours running errands and doing what you do. Just because you're not consciously aware that they turn the water on, does that mean that the water's not on? No, that water is still running.
Yeah.
So after 3 hours of that water running and the bathtub has been plugged up, so it's building up and building up. After 3 hours of that, what do you walk back into in your home?
Blood.
Right?
Yeah.
Water damage,
Yeah.
electrical damage.
Yes.
You have all kinds of issues with the foundation.
Building might have fell through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so just because you were not aware there
That's
and it happened, it done tore your house down.
Oh, that's a good.
Internally, just because you are not aware of what is going on inside of you does not mean that it does not have the power to wreak havoc and tear your house, meaning you down.
Oh, that's so good, Doctor.
Yes.
That brings it home.
So that's kind of a little bit of that unconscious piece. And yes, we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more as we talk. And the other thing that I wanted to just speak to really quickly, just to kind of position people's minds around how common this trauma is for, I'm sure many of the people watching, if not all, are career people, right? And we experience traumas at work.
Right. Yes.
And let's just take the trauma of being excluded.
Yeah.
So I am supposed to be over this project. I am supposed to be in command of this thing, but I'm never on the email chains. I'm never invited to the meetings, right? I never am given the information that's needed.
Yes.
That then has a negative impact on me.
Yes.
That then begins to color the way that I see that job, the way that I see my coworkers, the way that I see my bosses. And now the way that I am interacting in my workspace is different.
Yeah.
Defensive.
Yep.
Right? Maybe I'm not taking as many risks as I need to, because we know in order to be successful, you got to be willing to take risks.
Yeah.
Maybe it causes me to be inhibited. So now I am not living at my best potential. Right? Now I'm starting to have the butterflies in the morning before
we call it imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely, right? And so that is traumatic. And so although it's not causing you to, I love what you said, quiver in a corner and suck your thumb and be immobile, it's causing you to now function differently than you envisioned yourself.
Yes.
Professional.
And let's go and talk about where that begins.
So,
because the job, right, is the job. But when we talk about as Black women, we talked about those different levels of trauma.
Yes.
Before you even got to the job.
Absolutely. So the traumas are the personal traumas, the historical traumas, and then the cultural traumas. Look at that. Whenever I'm on point, the screen just does and lets me know you on point. Look at that.
Where are those balloons coming from?
No clue, but they do that. When I'm speaking, they just do that. So here we go. Personal traumas are traumas that come from personal experiences that we have encountered, similar to what I was just sharing about being in the workplace.
Yeah.
And so they are traumas that we are typically consciously aware have happened to us, that we have been involved in some way,
Yeah.
that we then carry with us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That next level is the historical trauma,
Okay.
right? And so these are the traumas that come within our families.
Yeah.
These are the traumas that we may experience secondhand because I'm being raised by a mother who's traumatized. And so I have to experience her trauma through the way that she connects and parents with me.
Right.
It
Right.
may be transmitted to me because I am watching and I'm witnessing people function
Mm.
ways, because a huge way that we learn how to function is through social learning.
Okay.
So, right, our children watch us to learn how to handle things and learn how to be. And if I'm watching someone who is actively responding in a trauma response,
Then
now I'm taking on that same way of responding and interacting with the world.
So I have a question. I've heard this, and one of the projects that I worked on, it talked about this idea of it being passed through our DNA, coming out the womb
Yes.
with some of these traumas. Can you talk a little bit about, like, is this an actual thing and what it looks like?
Yes. So epigenetics is what you are referring to.
Okay.
And it is an actual thing that scientists, psychological and medical researchers have found the evidence on our DNA that there are markers that demonstrate that we have trauma that lives within our DNA. Absolutely. So it has found that we carry the memories of trauma
Wow.
that are embedded within us. But it also carries along with it experiences. And so what they have found is, say for instance, my grandmother is a very anxious person.
Yeah.
I may not demonstrate anxiety. It may not be active within me, but it lies within my DNA, is what they have found from my grandmother. That lies within my DNA. And so then what does that mean? If I encounter just the right stressor,
Jesus.
it wakes that up.
That's what I was about to ask. So it's like it sits dormant. Like, for example, they say I have vitiligo, right? I never knew that I had vitiligo. At certain points in my life, I can see me losing my skin tone. I would say that it was triggered by stress. So when I think about the situation, then I said, oh, that was the stress that was in my life. So now, though, it's handled. I started doing some natural things, getting my insight, and now it's not there. But it's a reminder that I look, because I'll say, oh, you might feel stressed. So it's like that thing, like it's a dormant,
Absolutely.
like a ticking time bomb.
Yes. Which is why what you're doing, that this focus that you've had on mental health for this month, what I've dedicated my career to, is really so important, because it's not only the active living existing things that we can see that we've got to guard against, but we have those internal inherited genetic passed on traumas that we've got to guard against.
Yeah, my mind is just like, because I'm just thinking about so many layers. One, we as Black people typically have not talked about to the next generation what was going on with the previous generation. And the things that we knew. We might not talk about the addiction. We might not talk about those things, right? I think now we're starting to get a little better. But then we also, how do we talk about what we don't know? As a mother, now that I'm conscious, I can watch my kids foot tap
Mm.
the
Mm.
leg,
Yeah.
right? Like this whole, I'm like, what, you feeling anxious? What you, and this is how far removed they are. I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But I think grandma had nerve issues
Yep.
on Prozac.
Yep.
Mom, right?
Yep.
You struggle with anxiety. Now your boys' legs are doing this, even though they appear to be
Yep.
cool. It's just the recognition.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yep. And I think the silence within our families has been about one, self-protection, right, for our elders and the atrocities that they had to face and see. And my spirit can't even take bringing some of these things back up, right? So I
right,
think that's a part of it. But I think the other part is the thought that it is protective. We've worked so hard to
right,
get our family here. You don't need to know about those things. We want you to be focused on fulfilling,
right.
we've prayed for you.
Yeah,
And what we're learning, though,
yeah.
is that it's not as protective
It's
as we thought, because it's still there. And without giving us, because I'm a part of that. My grandmother, she's 94, and I'm constantly digging at her to tell me, what was happening, because she was born on a plantation in Georgia.
wow,
Her father was white, her mother was Black.
wow.
And so there's so much, right, that we need to know, that our children need to know, in order to understand what is happening with us. I think that example you gave, it literally gave me chills. This little, because your children
Yeah,
are teenagers or early 20s or whatever they are. But what we know about mental health is that the longer it goes unaddressed, the worse it gets. So
yeah.
now does it go from this to, I had a small panic attack, Ma. Now, oh my God, I was going to apply to grad school, but I'm scared because I'm right. Where does it go unless we understand, okay,
Mhm.
this is what we come with. And
Yeah,
so this is how we need to address it, as opposed to neglect it.
yeah. Is it a way to stop, like, for this one specifically, what we're talking about is passed through our DNA?
Mhm.
How do we combat that?
Oh, yes, for sure. So it is about the lifestyle that we lead, right? And that's why when I say it's just encountering that particular stressor that wakes it up.
Mm,
A lot of us do some dangerous and reckless things. A lot of us feel like, oh, what's this gonna hurt? Or, oh, but the more you know about the dangers, just like if for me, I come from a family of people who are addicts. I've never drank, I've never smoked. I'm not even about to put myself in that position,
right.
because I know and I understand, but it was having that knowledge so that I could not expose myself to certain.
Mm,
And so, same kinds of things. If you know that there is a predisposition in your family
mm,
toward, whether it be anxiety, whether it's a schizophrenia diagnosis, whether it's, then you may not always be able to avoid life's stressors, but maybe you say, I know I'm transitioning into something really stressful. Let me make sure I get myself into therapy.
right,
I know
right.
that I'm getting ready to transition into this. Let me do something else
Yeah,
proactively
yeah.
that can help guard me against the effects of this, so that then I am not triggered within my DNA, and whatever exists there is not awakened.
Mm. So it's gonna pass. It's
Mm-hmm,
gonna be a part,
mm-hmm,
regardless.
mm-hmm.
But what you do with yourself with that information
Mm-hmm.
is what matters.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like the first is becoming aware of what is passed through the DNA.
I think even first, becoming
Mhm.
aware that things are passed through and accepting that, right? Because you got to believe in that. There are so many people, and I'm sure right now, who are really, I don't think so, who feel like I'm stronger than I can't
I'm
take.
stronger than, yeah, like that don't have nothing to do with me.
Yep.
Because they was this don't mean I'm that. And it's like,
Yes. Yep. And so really the awareness that, yes, this is something that from a medical standpoint, a biological standpoint, a neurological standpoint happens. That's just it. And then I think the next thing is to begin to identify what were they. And some of it is having these conversations and gaining the information. Now I'm about to go to another level. The other part of it is spiritual and it's intuition based, right?
Yeah.
Can't talk to my great grandmother, but there are things that I feel in my spirit that help me to make sense of some of the things that I see in my family, that help me make sense of some of the things that I am experiencing within myself, right? We got to be willing to tap into all sides of ourselves. We can't just stop at the things that we know and understand or the things that we feel in our hearts. We're given a spiritual knowing and we're given an intuition.
Yeah.
Needs to be a part of what you utilize to understand what is the totality of what's going on with me.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I just, you hope that at some point it's not past, like you hope that. And I think for many of us and a lot of the women that I work with, we want to be the new legacy. So, but if I understand you correctly, what's in the DNA is in the DNA. So even if I find out and figure out how to manage it differently, doesn't mean that when I birth my children, that won't be a part of their DNA. Is that accurate? Like at some point, does it no longer carry in the DNA?
And now that is a wonderful question. And so
That's a big question.
They started this research mid 90s. And so this really is still the epigenetics field is still very, very new.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot that we do not know about it. And so, and I won't fancy myself an expert in it, but it is definitely something with the kind of trauma work that I do with clients that I've, studied on, but I have not found anything yet that has said that they understand at what point does that transmission stop? At what point does the gene, and see, I'm not medical, so don't quote me on this. I don't know if the gene mutate or change into what I've created. Now that gets passed down. I've not seen anything that talks about that.
But we can do it in our behavior and being aware of it and looking for it in our children, for educating them, for making sure like there are some things that we can do to inform them and inform how they manage it. One, I imagine first by way of you. Because I that's another thing with women I work with and I teach. I'm like, be selfish.
Yes.
Because go to therapy, actually, absolutely, but also be selfish in the sense of don't just focus on, well, I'm just gonna make sure this don't happen to my kid. But what can we do today? We got life, we got breath in our bodies. What we do also, and I saw that on Instagram. It said like the indicator of a child's happiness is the mother's happiness, or is the mother's like that's the indicator. Like go and make all the sacrifices only and focus on the kid. Our well-being actually makes that child be in a better position. So I just think it's important for us to not be like, well, I got it and this is what I've been dealing with, but I'm gonna do better for my kids to make sure my kids don't have it. Do better for you too.
Absolutely.
Do better for you. You are doing better. You're teaching them how you manage it, right? You're teaching them how they may be able to navigate. You're teaching them that you see it, and then you're teaching them how to see it too. That kind of thing.
Yes. And I love that. And I think that going back to this trauma conversation, we got to then be willing to look at the traumas that happened to us that made us so hyper focused on everything outside of us, right? That made us feel like I have to present as the most capable, as the smartest, as the most successful, as the one that gets it done. What is the trauma that then drives this way of being, which is so counterintuitive to humanity, right? Because first and foremost, why do babies not kill themselves when they're infants? Why do they not stop themselves from breathing. There is a self preservation that is built within us where we are focused on self so that we can survive, right? And then at some point it changes. And people, as a therapist, this is what gets me. This is one of the statements that gets me the most. I'm just like that. I'm just
right. That's
no,
just how I am.
that's just nope. There is something that happened to you that impacted you so significantly that it changed you and it caused you to do this thing that is contrary and counteractive to what humanity dictates for you.
What humanity dictates for you and who you were designed to be.
Absolutely.
You know, I think about, you know, one of the women that I work with. She would think that she was the angriest, snappiest, and have receipts to show that this is like who you are. You in conflict. There's always a problem, like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But sweet as pie.
Mm-hmm.
She learned very early on that she had to defend herself.
Absolutely.
And then everything became a fight.
Mm-hmm.
But at her core, so that wasn't her original design.
Right.
Right. So I always say, who were you before the world got its hands on you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This notion of what you're describing, was just talking about external validation. So I just want to go here for a minute because you brought it up. Like this whole, I have to be perfect, do all the things, this idea of success, and where does that, when you're saying like it comes from a place, what is leading to that? Because it's high right now in 2024.
And that's the thing. I would love to be able to say it comes from here. For each one of us, it's something different. Okay. I know, you know what I'm saying? For me, I know it comes from my deep down issues related to acceptance and rejection. And so ways that I learned how to not be rejected so much is to be a people pleaser. Okay. When I'm pleasing people and you're doing for people, they want you. They're not going to reject you because you serve some kind of purpose for me, right? My deep down stuff that I'm still on my hands and knees with, right? And then for you and the external validation, it's something completely different. And for the next woman, and that's why it's
enough or being too much.
Yep.
So navigate in between that world.
Yep. And so for every person, you got to go and really look at yourself and be honest. And it's hard. It's hard to be honest about the most hurtful parts of you, the things that are embarrassing and shameful about you, right? But in order for you to be liberated and have freedom, I'm going to tell you, Monique, 10 years ago, to sit in public and tell somebody I had issues with acceptance and rejection, no. I was a young doctor on the rise, and I am getting ready to take over the world, and you know, watch out for me, and I don't have anything wrong with me. I am the one that can help you. Hell no.
Who? Right. Who? But let me ask you, were you, because talking about that, I love to hear, I'm thankful that you're transparent because I need us to see that even the greatest struggle.
Yes.
And so for you, was that lack of transparency about you being judged and you not want to be judged? Or was it like you really were not aware?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I think I was aware. I always have been keenly aware.
Okay.
So the acceptance and rejection stuff for me then led into, am I not good enough? Right. Mm-hmm. And so if there were things about me that I already felt like weren't good enough, growing up, being dark skinned, you know, the kind of hair that I had, you know, that whole story.
Being dark skinned,
right? Being chubby, I have a stutter. So there were all these things that were already things that people were like, nope, we don't want to accept you because of that. And so absolutely, as an adult, I want to add to my own list. I don't want to come and present to you and, you know, and I have these, nope. So in my mind, like, let me hide and put on this facade of something else. I was 27 years old when I got my PhD, right? Mm-hmm. So I went straight from the bachelor's right into my PhD program, the youngest person ever admitted into the program. It was the number one program in the nation at the time. And I kind of intentionally sought all of that high levelness out.
I say that's our defense mechanism.
So then when I present, there's all of this to get rid of all that stuff that I didn't feel was good enough.
But did it work?
It didn't work because although people may have been around me and people may have been accepting me, they weren't accepting me, Monique.
Yes.
They were accepting this
Yes.
image that I created.
Yes.
The core of who I am.
Yeah.
You didn't know it because I kept it hidden. And so I internally still felt lonely and devoid and still not good enough. And if I ever slip up and allow you to see this other part, you're going to still be here. You're going to like me.
Right.
Right.
So what made you finally decide that I'm not going to live like that anymore?
I didn't like feeling how I felt.
I know. You just get.
Some say, Hove, how you get so fly. Not being afraid to fall out the sky. Carrying all that bullshit. Yeah. Well, no way I'm a fly.
Ain't no
way I am going to be
able to say carrying all that. It's no way you're gonna fly carrying all of that. I love that.
And so I had to look at myself, look at my stuff, and begin to work. I have to, right? Because I'm still, as I look, one thing, the next thing comes, and I'm like, oh, do I got enough fight in me, God, for this one?
Right. And even when you think that you're flying, you're really not even getting off the ground. So you had all the degrees, but was still here instead of here from that internal battle.
Absolutely.
So that right there is powerful. I keep encouraging. I think I say this every live. I probably feel like a broken record. To do the work to get to the other side.
Absolutely.
You don't understand what freedom is. And here's the thing, when you can get to the place of saying all of that to see whatever you see about yourself and to attach no judgment to it.
Yep.
To just name it as a matter of fact. It's exactly what I said. If we get to the place, because self-love is different from self-worth.
Absolutely.
You don't have to earn that. It's just inherently what you deserve, and there is a difference. But so that's self-awareness. But that love, that like unconditional, that I love the good parts of me, and I love the not so good. I love that I was great in that moment, and I love the fact that I'm like, I don't know what you was thinking when you did that.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, you must have been in a bad place.
Right. And being able to also, because I do think that we personalize and take on so much that's not, oh, look at this right here. What you say, it's not your fault. Woo, it just hit me because I wasn't even, but that, right, we personalize so much. But when we start to really do our work to identify what are the personal traumas that I've picked up along the way, what are my historical traumas that my family has given to me, and then what are the cultural traumas?
Let's talk about that one.
Right? That comes from being an African American. And we're African, right? That's where our ancestors have descended from. But there's something, a very special kind of trauma with being an African American, with our history of enslavement, with what we carry, and with the ongoing repercussions of being Black people in America. I will not get political on your show, but everybody knows that we are in
go wherever you want. I don't have no filter. I don't do that. I have no restrictions.
Right? We know that we are in times right now where when we can have someone who was the leader of the United States and is now vying to be the leader of the United States again, talk about Black jobs and talk about where we belong and what our cap is, right? That just is a part of the repercussions of being enslaved in this country that we carry with us. The burden of having to constantly be aware of what you may be thinking of me, what my tone of voice may elicit in you, what my presence may elicit in you, that right there is traumatic.
Yeah.
Always worry about and be burdened with.
Yes. And regardless of what I did to get to where I am, you discredit me before I even open my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and so I get this often because people are like, yo, you want to expand the women of color? What about our brown sisters? I said, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
We as Black women have a very unique reality.
Absolutely.
Yes, cultural, the history, and we are living and attempting to thrive in an environment that was not built for us, that does not want us.
And that is attacking us.
And it's attacking us. I just was seeing, I have to go back and watch what's happening with the Freedom Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like I can't even get my footing.
Yep.
Because it's constantly, and Michelle Obama said it when she talks about that shifting ladder. I think about that all the time.
Yes.
Because we're saying, okay,
yeah,
I'll play by your rules.
Yep.
Okay. I'll go get the degree. Okay. Like even in the office spaces, I'll shrink.
Yep.
I'll be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play according to your rules. And still, and that's when we deal with the issue of infant mortality, all of the racial equity work. When Third Space brought in the training, the groundwater training, and the biggest thing out of that is it does not matter your social economic status.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter how much you not only assimilate but acculturate in this world.
Yeah,
you are still being seen.
Yes,
as a Black woman, and I say, and I'm down for anybody who's marginalized, but I can't ever be white passing.
Yes.
That is not an option for me.
Not an option.
I can't check anything of nothing else on the box.
Yes.
But
Yep.
Black.
Yep.
And that very fact means a whole lot for my reality in this world. And so I added that part, how we got here, but then also being in this environment because I lived on an island where we were also brought over, we were enslaved. But it's a whole different being. We operate and function differently there. It didn't become a place that didn't want us. We're trying to live. We're trying to create a life in the very place that does not want. So it's like we were enslaved there. Slavery ended. And now we celebrate our Blackness in the streets on the road in the island, because that's what they call it, is they on the road.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They celebrate Blackness. They love each other. They give each other. They don't deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, but we deal with it every day, even though slavery is no more.
Yep. And so when I tell you
I don't went to a place.
No, this is it, right? I'm sitting here. I had to be quiet and learn my lessons. I'm sitting here because you are so correct. And I was just hit with make this connection for them, right? Yeah. Because from a culturally traumatic perspective, and I'm just going to use my issue.
Yes.
We are a people. My ancestors were peoples who were not accepted here.
Yeah.
Who were rejected, mistreated in the worst ways, right? So they had acceptance and rejection issues.
Yeah.
We now know in an epigenetic form has been transmitted.
Yes.
When you think about a cultural perspective, that I have a mama or a grandmama who had her own issues of acceptance and rejection, because my mama grew up in the 60s as a Black woman, right? And so now she has that. So epigenetically, now that her stuff related to acceptance and rejection is now within me. Yeah. And then I had my own personal experience with being the little dark girl with the short hair that was nappy, who stuttered, who wasn't accepted and was rejected. Do you see how it is so compounded? It is
complex.
Yes.
And I love it. That's what my counselor told me. You have complex trauma. That's just from my personal trauma. But as Black women, that they call the Black tax, you got complex trauma just because you're dealing with the personal, the historical, and the cultural.
Yep. And
So that's why it's so hard.
and when you think like me, if I just consciously think, I'm going to deal with the things that I dealt with in elementary school, I'm going to heal from those things and those people who may have hurt my feelings, that ain't even the tip of the iceberg. Because if it was just that happened to me, maybe I would have been okay by high school. But it's because of the fact that happened to me, which did nothing but tap into genetically what happened to my mama, which did nothing but tap into genetically what happened to my ancestors. I got to work through all of that lives within me.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And so I want to name this because what we're talking about is great to have for the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
What I hope is that by learning these realities, that it doesn't weigh down, but it releases, because you take the burden off as I'm the problem.
Absolutely.
Something is wrong with me. I would love for all the women, even though what you want us to hear is more important, but I want all the women who have listened to this show to walk away, and men, if you listening to, because Black men, this is our thing too. I just know Black women. I just work with Black women because I don't understand you as Black men, but I digress. What I want, what I hope, is that there is this release of the blame and the shame and the heaviness that I'm the problem bears. Because it makes it even more difficult to deal and to participate in your healing when you're stuck with those thoughts.
Yes, with that shame.
With the shame, with the guilt, with the heaviness, like it's just something wrong. No, now you can understand that you are a byproduct of a lot of different things. And that within itself becomes a part of not the first step, but a part of your ability to heal. When you can say, I'm taking, no, that's not mine. That didn't come from me. That's not mine. I don't have to carry the weight of it, but I do get to discover the solution.
Yes.
I do get to discover how I overcome it. I do get to discover how I still can have an amazingly incredible life. Because as much challenge as we have as Black women, we come with that much beauty, strength, resilience, creativity, inspired action, purpose. I mean, we make the thing shake. You understand me? We do the thing, okay? The circumstance, we do the thing.
Absolutely.
So can you move us to that place of the light at the end of the tunnel and how we get there?
Yeah. Well, I hope that in some small way that a part of that light in the tunnel is within me. You know, I was vulnerable to share just a little bit, right, of my journey and where I've come from, and the fact that really you can go from the thing that you are most afraid of, people finding out that I don't feel good enough, to not being afraid at all and jumping out your seat to figure out how do I get in.
You ain't look afraid at the conference. What I call you super, you were killing it every day. You was like,
But that thing, I could have never imagined, like I said, 10 years ago, being in the space of airing some of my stuff.
Yeah.
But now that doesn't even scare me. That's because I'm not bound by it. And so I hope that I can serve as a light at the end of the tunnel, that when you do your work, right? And I can't tell you what the process is going to look like. I can't tell you what is going to be involved for you. But when you commit to yourself and when you do right by yourself, just like you said, to commit to getting to the other side, there is another side. And I think for me, I didn't realize that. And so I want to emphasize that as well. You know, when you're living in it and you're just trying to figure out how to survive and your head is down and you don't know that there's anything different than this. You don't know that I cannot have this hurt. I can't have this pain, that there is something else other than this. So there is. And I would like for people to begin to dream and imagine that there is something else. You may not know what that looks like, but that there is something else. And then commit to yourself in order to begin that journey. You ain't got to know where. When people say, well, how am I going to do that? Because I don't know where. I tell them, I said, that is not important at all. Because if you got in your car right now today and was driving down to Georgia, can you see Georgia from your driveway?
Mm-mm.
Is that going to stop you from driving to Georgia?
Mm-mm.
How far can you see? About 15 feet ahead of you. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to drive that 15 feet. You're going to trust. And then once you get there, you're going to see the next 15 feet. You're going to drive. And then if you go the next 15 feet and there's a detour, what you going to do? Follow the detour. So people get hung up with, I can't see where I'm supposed to be. I can't. That doesn't matter. As long as you can see the next step. And if you've been inspired from this conversation right here to do something different, that's your next 15 feet.
Yeah.
Go next thing, go get yourself a therapist or commit to yourself and be selfish, like Monique said, and take time for you, right? Do that next step, and then it will be revealed what the next 15 feet is.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely will. I love that. And I think that goes back to the idea of self-worth, like believing that you're worthy for something other than pain.
Yep.
If you can look at anybody else in the world and see that they're living an alternative reality, why wouldn't that be available to you?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that God believes that you are less worthy than the next? And why?
Yep.
It's the same. A rose is still a rose. A diamond holds its value.
Period.
It does not matter what you went through in this world. You are worthy of living a life that does not exist in struggle and pain and strife. And I'm like you. I wouldn't have believed it either. I thought I expected bad things to happen to me. I expected it. When bad things happen, I'd be like, well, that's what I get. There's no surprise. But on the other side, I expect nothing but greatness to happen in my life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It took a whole lot of couch sessions, whole lot of tears. But I would not trade it for the world, because I can't imagine being stuck. Like I'm such in a place, and this is what I do. This is where I work to get women in this place. I'm in this place that when you bringing it to me, I gotta shut it down.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I mean, because listen, our family is our family. They come, they talk that, they come. Just because you heal it don't mean everybody around you is healing. And they'll come with that stuff.
Yes.
And it's the boundaries. They'll say, okay, well, thank you. I'm headed into my meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, let me call you right back. Like, I might not have nothing to do, but what I don't have to do, what I'm not going to do is bring that negative energy, because all I orchestrate is positive.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Couldn't even a year ago.
Yep.
That wasn't my reality.
Yep. And you're talking about going from a space of being in the dark to being in the light, right? And we know this saying, if religiously, when you are in the dark, the light hurts, right? But once you are in the light, I'm not trying to go back to that. And it's so funny. We started the conversation off talking real lightheartedly about my love for horror movies. But you were like, I'm too old. I can't do that. I'd be scared. I got too much other stuff. But that right there, I done came out of the place.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, in a fictional way.
Yeah. Oh, it's a horror.
Yeah.
Horror. Give me a Hallmark movie.
Evolve from a space of darkness.
Yeah.
And you are surrounded by light. One, you understand that you can handle and manage the light, because if we think about it from an eye perspective, being in the dark is easier on our eyes. It feels better. It's soothing. And then you turn on the light. Oh my God, it's so bright. But once you get used to being in that light, oh, I can handle this. I can do this. I can.
Yeah, I want more of this.
Yes,
absolutely. Open them shades up. Oh, that does kind of feel good. Yeah, maybe I'll do this again tomorrow. I love what you said. Just a little bit, like, just open your shades. And when it feels good to you, you'll open them again tomorrow. You know, and that's just keep moving in like that. But I'll just want to give you the opportunity, because I had shared what I hope they walk away with. if they don't get anything else from this conversation,
Mhm.
what do you want them to hear? What do you want them to know? Or even what would you like to see them do?
Mhm. Two things I think I want to highlight. The first thing is I want everybody to know that every single person experiences trauma.
Absolutely.
You are not exempt.
Absolutely.
Not been so happy, so rosy. Your family was not so great. You were not strong enough. All those things that we tell ourselves, everyone experiences some kind of trauma. And so I would really encourage you to go about the business of figuring out what is it that traumatized me.
Hmm.
The second thing that I would say, and we haven't talked about this, but I know this is just so huge for people. People stay away from identifying their traumas because they get it confused with PTSD. Well, I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder. That's not what I'm dealing with. No, you may not qualify. So from a professional perspective, you may not qualify for a diagnosis of PTSD, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
Simply talking about experiences that you have had that
Mhm.
change the way that you view the world, you interact with the world, and you respond to the world.
Right.
That is all. And
Yeah.
I want you to just be aware that that is in there and to go and try to figure out what are my traumas, how have they affected me, and what do I need to do differently to get to where I am supposed to be.
I love that. I love that. Listen, I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. Um, this is just probably don't even scratch the surface
Mm.
of of one that the challenge, but also just the knowledge, Dr. Natalie, and the expertise and how good you are at what you do. So I just want to give a space for people who are looking for support as they go through this process, who are ready to go those few steps ahead. How can they connect with you, or just even have questions from this conversation? How can they connect with you?
Yes, so you can email me at ourvillage.aso@gmail.com. Are you putting that out or should I repeat it?
I'm trying to put it out. Okay, put it out. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Ourvillage.aso@gmail.com. And so that's a direct link to me. I do have a YouTube channel, One Dope Psychologist. And so I have videos there. You can, always connect with me on there as well. I'm on IG. Look, I'm embarrassed. I don't even really know what my IG. I don't know. Put my name in, though it comes up. I came up with some little cute handle or whatever you call it.
I was like, let me see if I can find the IG. It's something about being dope too. It's it's not A_young_doc.
Yes.
A_young_doc.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I welcome it right now. I may not be able to personally see people, but one of the beauties of being connected within the Black professional mental health field is being able to get people connected right where they need to be. And that's a lot of the times a huge hiccup is I don't even know where to go. I don't know how to get to someone. And so you reach out to me, I can help get you connected to treatment, if not be able to work with me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And you guys know that I always end in a quote. If you want to know more about me and what I do, www.moniqueinc.co. I always end with a quote, but Dr. Natalie has our quote today. So I'm going to toss it to you.
Yes. So what I want you all to remember is that mental health is an everybody experience. So it should be a part of our everyday conversation.
So mental health should be a part of our everyday conversation. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. All right. You guys make it happen this week.